Craig thinks that the
You
mental.
want to talk about the soul?
Yeah, when Craig talks about the mental and the soul and all that, he said it's not appropriate to think that the soul or the mind is located in a specific part of the body, but
Right.
rather as diffuse. Um, that when when you like cut your hand, it's cutting against the mind.
Right, because the soul is incorporeal, it's not understood spatially but relationally, and therefore it is not associated with the brain of the body in that sense. And so I don't know if Craig holds like a trichotomous view or dichotomous view, but I mean, it's really not relevant because the soul is different than the body.
Right, so
But I
John, can
don't.
you just explain again why, if all that was left of your body was your brain that was still like technical and was conscious, your soul is just like gone? Can you explain that again?
Yeah, so the way to understand it, there is no more relationship between the soul and the organ, like a brain, a heart, or whatever, and so the life, right, which is the ruah, the pneuma, right, the spirit of God, is no long. It returns to the Lord, and therefore the soul would be present with the Lord in that sense, absent from the body. This is all of these things are scriptural. Ecclesiastes 12. I mean, the list goes on and on. But when you ask the question, is the soul still in the brain? It's a malformed question because you're thinking about it spatially.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to understand why, if because presumably you think that if you lose a hand, the remainder of your body still is ensouled, right?
See, what was the question? The remainder of the body is in the soul? Is that what you asked?
Is ensouled, ensouled.
Is there a relationship still between the remaining body and the soul? Is that what you're asking? I
In
would
other
say yes.
words, yeah. So then I'm just not understanding why. Well, Danny's not understanding why the the soul then couldn't reside in the brain in that sense.
Yeah, because, well, first and foremost, the soul is incorporeal.
No, no. We the issue is right that body can be ensouled even if you lose parts of your body.
Well, you broke up a
That,
little. The body can what? The soul? I didn't hear that important
the
part.
body can
Be
still
ensouled.
be ensouled if you lose part of your body.
Like enrobed, but ensouled. Like it's sold.
And soul?
John Lee thinks if I cut my
Ensouled.
Like
fingernails, I'm removing my
enrobed,
soul.
but with a soul. Like enrobed in chocolate, right? You're enrobed with a soul. You're ensouled.
Do you not know what ensouled
Yeah,
means?
when I hear that statement, it sounds like some sort of spatial understanding.
No,
Look, if
I'm
I
asking
cut off
you.
your hand, will you still have soul?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the
So the
point the
question
point
is
is
why.
I wait. The point is I still am a soul, irrespective. Even if I die, I still have identity as a soul. That would be our view. I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but this is our view that
But
the
you
soul.
think the body is ensouled, right?
There's no. Well, I would say that when I die, I no longer have a relationship between the body and
I
the soul.
understand. I understand that when you die, you're no longer embodied, right? But when you're before you die, right, your body is ensouled on your view.
I genuinely I don't know what that term means. So
Jesus Christ.
It's like the equivalent of embodied, right? You understand what it means for a soul to be embodied?
yeah, I understand it not spatially.
That's fine. I didn't say anything about spatiality. So if you understand what it means for a soul to be embodied, you understand what it means for a body to be ensouled.
Okay, I think I know where you're getting at. Okay.
Right. So your body remains ensouled even if you lose certain parts of your
That would
body,
be correct.
right? Yeah. So the question is, why couldn't it be the case that the ensouled body is just a brain?
It has to do with the pneuma, is what I'm saying. And so it has to do with whether the spirit of the body has returned to the Lord or not.
Yeah. I'm asking, why can it not be? Why can it
Does it
be?
happen
Why?
at 51%? Like if I cut off 51% of your body, does the soul leave and go to God? What's the cutoff point?
Well, the spirit, right, of the individual leaving the body has nothing to do with the
Talking
biological
about the soul.
animation.
Look,
Forget
when
you
Jack
guys.
when Jack asks
No, we're talking
about
about the
why
spirit.
couldn't
We're talking
the
about the spirit.
brain constitute the body, right, and be ensouled, and then
Because the
John's
spirit.
answer was it depends on whether or not the spirit
That's
has
correct.
returned
Exactly.
to God or not, right?
Exactly.
But that's not
Exactly,
answering the
Tom.
question, and
Of
it
course it
actually
is.
implies that it's
There's a
possible
relationship.
that
There's a
the brain
relationship.
could be in a vat and the spirit has not returned to God and therefore is ensouled, right?
Then that's not possible. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys.
Okay,
But in
so
virtue of what?
I
In virtue of the spirit, right? And so how we understand the spirit of God,
I
right?
see we have some
Is
dodging
the
going on
reason
here.
why the soul has a relationship with the body
Notice how he
is
moves on
because
very quickly.
of the spirit. It is a spirit that establishes that relationship. So the question is, how do you know you no longer have that relationship? Because you no longer have the spirit of God.
no, he's not making an is that he did not ask you an epistemic question. He's asking a why can't it be the case that the brain is ensouled? Ensouled.
Because it is the case that the spirit is no longer associated with the remains of the body.
You're
That's
repeating the
just repeating
claim.
the claim.
Unbelievable.
And then the question is, why is it the case
Why are you
that
making
that
another
the
question? Why
yeah
haven't you answered why?
so then the
There's
question is,
no
why is
then the
it the case
question when you
that the
haven't
spirit
answered
is
the
no
Clown.
question.
longer
Don't make another question when the question
Look,
has
Yeah,
not been
there's no
answered.
moving
Don't
on
move
from the
on.
question
look.
Don't
that's
move
on
on.
the board.
You're a
If I cut
clown,
your head
John.
open,
I'm
if
literally
I
trying to
cut your
help you
head
guys
open
out.
No, you're not
and I
helping.
take your brain out and I put it on the table next to your body, where is your soul?
The spirit is nation. Now you guys are asking about why is the spirit even
If I
relevant?
place your brain next
That's
to
a
your
different
body,
question.
where is your soul?
What is it about the spirit that does not allow the soul to be remaining and
Yeah, Jack is
soul in
right.
the
He's just
brain
I'll ask
dodging.
Dodging.
again. Wait,
as Jack
Delano,
is
wait.
asking?
John, at what point does the soul leave? Is it at 51% of your body being
It's not
gone?
determined that way.
85%?
Yeah, it's not determined that way,
So what
James.
is the determining
The
factor?
determining factor, I've said it numerous times, has nothing to do with the body nor the soul. It has everything to do with the spirit.
Okay, so what about the spirit is determining if it'll stay or go for a particular body or body
Right.
part?
And so the determining factor is the breath of life that has either returned to the Lord or
Right,
not.
just a
That's the
claim. That's just a claim.
This is uninformative.
You're
and
not
so
saying
so
the
so the
criteria
question
that the
so
spirit. You're just
so
saying
you're
that the
asking
spirit chooses.
how can we know if the
No, we're not
spirit has left
asking
the
how
body or
can
not?
we
No,
That's
we're
a
know.
asking
We're
legitimate
not
how
question,
does
asking
the
how
but
we
you
can
don't even
know.
spirit?
want to know
No,
that.
no, no. We're
We're not
asking how
asking
the
how we can know.
spirit decides to stay or go. What is the spirit using to determine whether or not it should return to the Lord?
Yeah. And so what the spirit represents is the pneuma, the ruach,
No, that
Didn't
is not
ask
the
you what it
breath of
question.
God.
Clown.
represents.
That's
Right?
not the
Are you gonna
question.
let me
I'm
finish?
That you're not answering the
I'll
question.
tell you what. If you guys aren't gonna let me finish, I'll just go back to
Get the fuck
James'
out of
room. It's a
here.
lot more funner than this room. Okay.
Run
Is that what
away.
you guys want?
Coward.
I'll leave.
Well, I'd like to
Good.
hear Jack
What's your
and
answer?
John hash it out a little bit more.
Yeah, but you're
Well,
not
I
you're
mean,
not
you're
answering the question.
allowing everyone to jump in, Tom.
I'll be
I mean,
quiet. We'll keep
I'll tell.
it between you two. We'll keep it between you two. Everyone mute up. It'll be fine.
What
All right.
happened to
Last
Danny?
chance. Jack's gonna ask the
I
question
mean,
again.
you
Right?
guys
Can everyone
thought
hear me?
you guys
Jack's gonna ask the
thought I was
question
being
again.
repetitive.
John can have as much time as. John can have as much time as he wants to answer it, but if he still doesn't answer it, we're done. Is that agreed by everyone?
Because the fundamental question is
He
about being
didn't. No.
ensouled.
Hey, stop. Jack's going to ask a question again. Go on, Jack.
Yeah, well, if you're saying it's because it's in virtue of the spirit, and what explains why the spirit will cause the severing of that relation is itself determined by the breath of life, whatever that is.
Right.
The
And I was
question
actually
is going to
answering that,
be,
Jack. I was
well, I don't
actually
think you
answering
were.
that.
No, I don't think you were
Oh my
answering that.
goodness, I was completely cut
Let
off.
Jack finish, and then you can go.
But the question then is going to be what determines why the breath of life makes the determination that way at that moment.
Oh, why? Ecclesiastes 12 is the why, Jack. And so I mean, it is what is revealed. And so therefore, if
No,
you
you're
want
not
to know, like,
understanding. You're not
okay,
understanding what I'm asking. Look,
I
it's
am
very
understanding,
simple.
Jack.
No, you're not. It's very simple, right?
I can repeat
You
it to you if you
agree.
want me
No,
to.
listen, just listen. You agree, right, that if a hand is removed from your body, that doesn't mean that your body is ensouled, right?
That's correct.
Is not ensouled, right? Yeah, so the question is, at what point, well, in virtue of what is it that a brain is not sufficient, right, for the body to be ensouled?
Right. And that has to do with, once again, the spirit. And so the determining factor is not biological animation. For example, if the heart is kept alive, and it can be, and it is transplanted into another human being, and that heart lives on for an additional 20 years, let's say, right? Well, the original owner of that heart is with the Lord. The soul is with the Lord. It is not the case that soul is somehow ensouled in the heart, if we would even use that
If
language.
somebody
And it has to do with the
gets a
breath of
heart,
God.
if somebody gets a new heart, right, they still have the same soul, right?
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
Yeah, okay. Right. So you're just not answering the question. The question is, right, that what is it that makes it the case that a brain alone is not sufficient?
So the example that you gave shows that the body parts are irrelevant to the soul in that sense. Because
Yeah. So if it's
because what you said
irrelevant,
was
irrelevant,
if they get a new heart,
look,
they still have the same soul.
listen, if
So the
it's
body part is
irrelevant,
irrelevant.
look, if it's irrelevant, right, then I'm not seeing why a brain alone is not sufficient. Because you're saying it's irrelevant that it's a body part.
And so
Uh-oh.
once again, the determining factor is the Spirit of God. The
It's
question
not an
is,
answer to the question.
well, I am trying to answer it. I mean, every
No, you're
time
not
I'm
answering
interrupted.
it. No, you're not answering the question, right? You're saying that I can take away all these different parts of your body, and what remains of your body can still be ensouled. And I'm asking, why is it that if I take everything away, right, except your brain cannot be ensouled? Cannot. It's impossible. Impossible for it to be ensouled. What's the answer to that question?
Yeah, it seems you had a false assumption about what I said the first time because I gave the example of the heart, right? You could take away the rest of the body, and it's not ensouled in that part, right? So it's not about parts of the body. It's not
Yes,
about
and
not about
did you hear what
percentage of
I
the
say?
body.
Did you
It's
hear
not
what
about
I
the
said in
torso.
response to that? Did you hear what I said in response to that?
No, maybe you want to repeat it for me.
What I said was if it's not about parts of the body, then I don't see how there's a logical bar, right, to the brain being ensouled.
Right. And so,
Uh-oh.
no, so I get it. So it's not about the parts of the body.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you talk about the brain and you
Mm-hmm.
want to consider the brain, that's a body part, and now you want to consider it as a part of the body. Are you not?
It's the body. The idea is that you're
Right.
still a body,
Right.
right?
And
Even
so
though
so
you
so
take
the first premise is
parts of a body, even though you take parts of a body away, that doesn't mean that the remainder of the body ceases to be ensouled, right? There have to be specific conditions,
correct.
right? Such that there have to be specific conditions, right? More than just the fact that you've taken parts of a body away,
Not
that
just
it
more,
ceases
it
to
has
be
nothing to do
ensouled.
with. You keep trying to put it into consideration.
I'm not. I'm
Oh, very
asking
good.
you,
As long as you
what is
abandon
it?
that, then
Yeah, so
you
I'm
don't have to
asking
consider the
you,
parts of the body.
what is it that makes it impossible for a brain to be the body that is ensouled?
Right. And I was trying to answer that the first time. What is it about the
I don't think you
brain?
were.
What is it about the brain that prevents that brain from being ensouled? That's what you're asking. That's what I've been trying to answer. I've been
I don't think
literally
you've been trying to answer it.
yeah. And so it is the case that it has to do with the possibility of the brain, right, being ensouling being ensouled, right, without the spirit. That's the key question.
I
Is
didn't
it
say anything about it
possible?
being
Is
without the
it
spirit.
possible for a brain to have the breath of God? No, it is not.
Yeah, fine. You can put it in those terms. So what's the logical bar?
Well, as far as animation, right? Uh, it is not understood by logical animation, right?
What
It is
does that
understood
mean?
as spiritual animation.
What does
It
that
just
mean
means
by
a lot.
logical
It means like a heart being kept alive. That's biologically
By
animated.
animation, are you referring to the soul?
No. Oh yeah. When I'm talking about animation, I'm talking about
Yeah. So
spiritual animation.
I'm
Well,
understanding
no, no,
these
no,
two.
no, no, no. When I'm talking about animation, I'm not talking about the soul. By the way,
Well, you understand the word
I'm
anima
talking about the
means
spirit.
soul.
I'm talking about
You
the
understand
spirit.
the word anima means soul?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, that's what it means.
So the word the animation that I understand is sort of like life. In other words, am I wrong with that?
Well, you're talking about some concept in the Bible, which is what, ruach?
Correct. That's exactly what
Okay.
I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So, the breath. I guess that's translated as the
The
breath
breath
of
of
life.
God, exactly. The
Yeah.
pneuma
Okay.
in Greek.
Well, pneuma.
Is also the ruach. Just to let you know.
Okay. So I'm asking, why is it that a brain cannot be endowed with the breath of life?
Because at that state, uh, the breath of life has more to do with just biologically. It has more to do with exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide physically, right?
Look, here's a
Now,
simple way to think about it. Here's a simple way to think about it, John, right? If I cut off the bottom half of your body, right, that doesn't mean that you are not endowed with the breath of life anymore, right?
well,
So
to
there's
be honest, you
some
may or may
factor.
not be. To be honest,
Yeah, you may or may not be. So it's possible. There are some situations in which when somebody's bottom half of their body is cut off, they still have the breath of life. Now, you want to
correct.
say that it can never be the case that if what's been cut off is everything but their brain, that they still have the breath of
That's
life,
correct.
right?
That's also
And
correct.
I'm asking, what is the factor that makes it the case? What is it about being a mere brain rather than being a mere top half of your body that makes it the case that you cannot have the breath of life?
Right, and that would be the spiritual animation I'm talking about.
I understand that in one case, look, in one case it's inspirited, and in the other case it's not inspirited, right? I'm asking in virtue of what is it inspirited in one case and not the other?
Yeah, and so it would be like evidence of consciousness, right? Body
What are you
parts,
talking about?
evidence of consciousness.
Well, why can't there be
Consciousness
evidence of
comes from the
consciousness?
consciousness
Why
comes from the
can't there be
soul
evidence? Wait a minute. Why can't there be evidence of consciousness with just a brain?
because there isn't. That's number
Well,
one.
why would you say that? Wait, why would you say that? Because people
That's
measure
what.
brain people think, right? Scientists think that consciousness is correlated with certain brain states, right? Which means that there is evidence for conscious activity in the brain that can be inferred by examining the brain.
Let me give you an example, Jack. There have been instances, guinea pigs and so forth. The brain has been kept alive, 36 hours, so
What's an
forth.
answer
I
to
just
what
want,
I just
no,
said?
I just want to let you know this.
Yeah, but
Okay?
that's just you. Yeah, but that's
even though
not
the brain,
answering what I
no,
said.
but you're not even letting me finish. Okay?
Yeah, I'm
But
not letting you finish because you're not responding to
the
what I'm
scientists say
saying.
that no thinking is going on, no consciousness in the brain. This is what they're saying.
Yeah, so again, do you understand that scientists think that consciousness is correlated with
Did you even just
activity in the
understand what I
brain?
just said?
It's not relevant.
Of
I
course,
said
it's
something,
relevant.
right? I said, look, I said
The brain
something.
alone does not have consciousness.
Yeah.
It does not
I
think.
didn't ask you that. That's just repeating the claim.
No, this is
So
what scientists have determined, Jack. That's what you're not understanding.
again, did you hear what I said? I said
You're
that
just
scientists
imagining that
believe.
again.
What do you mean that I'm imagining it?
You're talking
I'm
about the
saying, right?
correlation, right? It is not the case that scientists are saying that there's consciousness in the brain. Right? There is a genuine hard problem of
I didn't
consciousness.
say
I think you
anything
know
about
that.
I didn't say anything about consciousness being in the brain. I said, right, there's a correlation between brain activity and conscious states. That's what scientists believe,
Right.
right? There's a correlation.
I agree.
And what I'm
Well, I
saying, what
agree.
I'm asking you is, I'm asking you, in virtue of what does that not count as evidence of conscious activity?
Oh, it is evidence of conscious activity.
Well, so then the point is, then I don't understand what you're saying, which is that if there's just a brain, there can't be such evidence.
That's correct. If there's just a brain, there is no evidence of conscious activity.
There
This is what
there cannot
there is
be.
no
There
evidence.
cannot be. Sorry, there cannot be such evidence. That's your claim, right?
Not
There
only
cannot be.
cannot, is not.
Yeah, so your claim is that there cannot be. It follows that if there cannot be, there is not. Right? Now I'm asking, in
Correct.
virtue of what is that the case?
In virtue of not some sort of scientific. Now the science backs up what I'm saying, but it's not even that. It's an understanding that's given from Scripture.
Yeah, so what's the scripture?
That science does not. The Scripture is such about the breath of life. I don't know how many times I
Yeah,
have to
cite
say
the
that.
scripture.
I believe it's Ecclesiastes 12:4.
Yeah. What is it? What's the verse?
It's about the spirit returning to the Lord and us and our
What does
bodies
the verse say? I want you
return
to
to
tell
the
me
dust
what the
by which
verse
it
says.
came.
I want you to tell me what the verse says, and I want you to explain to me how that verse establishes that there cannot be evidence of conscious activity in a
Right,
brain.
right. Well, the brain being the body.
Go on.
Okay, and so, like I said, once again, you're looking at it spatially.
What
I'm
did I
looking
just
at it
ask you to do?
spiritually.
What did I just ask you to do?
How the verse, right, exegeted, represents how the
State,
spirit
state the verse.
the spirit
State
cannot
the verse. State the
interact
verse. Quote
with
the
the
verse.
brain. That's what you're asking
Quote
me.
it. Quote the verse, and then show me how that verse establishes, right, that on a biblical worldview, a brain, right, cannot have evidence for conscious activity.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. It's Ecclesiastes 12 for sure, but it doesn't look like it's verse 4. Might be a little bit further down.
I can't wait to hear what you're going to say.
Um, It says, and the dust returns to the ground which it came from, talking about the body, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. And
What
so
does
the
that have to
reason
do with the
why,
brain?
the reason why the body returns to the dust is because the spirit, which is the life-giving force of the body, which is different than the soul, right, which is the consciousness of the body, not the life force that represents the physical life force of the body, it is given by God. The only reason we have biological life is because of the breath of God, right? Once that returns to God, we no longer have the breath of God, breath of life in a sense, and we cannot be conscious, even if
Are you
there's
trolling? Are
biological
you
animation.
trolling? Are you trolling?
I'm not. I'm not
Okay,
trolling.
look, question was laid out to you very clearly, right? There's some
There's
difference
also other passages, by the
between,
way.
listen to what I'm saying. There's some difference between taking away half your body, right, and taking away all of your body except your brain. In the one case, it's possible for you to remain ensouled, even though half your body is taken away. And you want to claim that if you take everything away but the brain, it's not possible for that remainder of the body to remain ensouled.
That's
Now,
correct.
I
I've
don't
been
see
saying that.
anything, I don't see anything in the passage you cited that even remotely addresses why it's true in the one case and cannot be true in the other.
And it has to do with consciousness.
I don't stop saying it has to do with this or that. Just explain to me, right, how the passage explains how it's one or the
Okay.
how it can be ensouled in
So
the one and not in the other.
this is what I'm just gonna say I believe, right? I don't want to even try to represent it as Christianity, even though I think it is. So what I believe is that we have a spirit, soul, and body. That spirit is the breath of life, which comes from God. We have a soul, which is our identity. This is our consciousness. This is where we have emotion, will, intelligence, all of these things, right? That's in there. Now we have the body, right? The body is a physical part of us, but it is not of us. It has no relation. Well, we're just merely dust at that point, if you're going to look at it from a physical standpoint. So our reality, our existence is immaterial. It is incorporeal. That's who we are, right? Is our brain our identity? No, it is not. Is our heart our identity? No, it is not. Is our corpus, our body, our identity? No, it is not. And so therefore our identity lies in our soul, which is our consciousness. Now, with respects to our body parts, right? With respects to that, is it embodied, right? The only reason it is embodied with the soul, or I guess what you're saying, or however you worded it, is because of the spirit. Once the spirit leaves, then it cannot be the case that I'm sorry, I got distracted. It cannot be the case that there is consciousness associated relationally with the body. And so the brain in that scenario negates the idea that there is some sort of soul anywhere near that. Not that it should even be understood spatially, because it's not. There's no relationship with the brain any longer. That relationship, that conscious relationship, is now present with the Lord. That's the Christian understanding, as I understand it.
Yeah, and nothing that you said there explains why when you can have an ensouled body that just consists of the top half of
Mm.
your body,
There, there,
but you
there.
can't have an ensouled body that just consists of your brain.
Right.
Right now, do you have an
So
answer to that question or not?
I do, and as far
Okay, so
as like
so I've been asking you that question now for at least 20 minutes. So let's
right.
stop with the stalling and just give me that fucking answer.
It's just you just not satisfied. I
What do you
can't help
mean I'm
that,
not
right?
satisfied? You didn't fucking answer the question. What do you mean not
To
satisfied? The
your
reason why I'm
you
not
mean to your
satisfied
you
is
mean to
because
your
you didn't answer the
satisfaction,
fucking question. No, you
to your
didn't answer my
satisfaction,
question. No,
to
you
your
didn't
satisfaction.
answer. What the fuck is your
I
problem?
certainly replied.
Yeah, you replied and
At
you
least
didn't
you could
answer my
you
question.
acknowledge that. And so, like
Yeah,
I said,
you said a bunch of words, right? I didn't ask you to say
I
blah blah
understand.
blah 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 in response
I
to my
understand.
question. I asked you to
I
answer my
understand.
fucking question. So what's
Right.
the
And that
answer?
is only, I will say this, okay, as far as the answer, that's only one component of it. There are other passages that I tried to explain to you. When you tie them all together, they will form a narrative of why the brain cannot be ensouled or
I'm
something
not
like that.
interested in a
Now,
promissory note. I'm not interested in a
okay,
fucking promissory note.
I could go
I'm
to the second
interested in
part.
you. I'm interested in you
Right.
laying out the
You're
connection.
looking for one verse, right? It's not a matter of just one verse. It has to do
Great.
with okay. And so I'd like to go to verse number 2 if you want.
Okay. Go
Apparently
ahead.
verse number 1 in and of itself was insufficient for you.
It wasn't
I
sufficient for
agree.
anybody.
I agree. So once you establish at least the understanding of the body, the physical body returning to dust, because we're not our identity, not the brain. Our identity has nothing to do with the brain at all. Period.
Yeah. We've been over that.
Right? Right.
We've been over
and
that.
So once you
you don't need to
so once
repeat
we
it.
establish that, okay, so it's not about body parts. It's not about 50% of the body. It's not about anything like that. It's not about the brain. Period. It's not about the brain. But so what is the second verse that I want to bring up was with respects to the dead, right? The dead do not think, in a sense of it's talking about the physicality of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, it is such the case that the brain, right, cannot be alive.
Yeah, why?
Well, first and foremost, that at least scientifically, right, it is such the case that there's no evidence. In fact, there's evidence otherwise that there is any amount of consciousness in brains that have been kept alive.
What difference does that make?
I can
Your
cite
claim,
some sources for
your
that.
claim is that
if you
there
want.
cannot be. Your claim is that
So
there
the scenario,
cannot be.
so the scenario of a brain kept in a vat, thinking, right, imagining, dreaming, experiencing, all of these things are just pure science fiction. Pure science fiction.
I didn't ask you that. Your claim is that it cannot be. Cannot. Do you understand? Cannot.
Correct. And my claim,
right. I'm asking.
My claim has nothing to do with science, by the way. You probably know
Great.
that. But what I am
let's
saying
leave
is that my
the fucking
claim
science
is
out of it.
consistent with the science, though.
Yeah. So let's leave the science out of it if it has nothing to do with fucking science. Right? What establishes that a brain cannot be alive? On grounds independent of scientific grounds.
Right. And so when we talk about the physicality, then what is being said is that the dead do not think. Okay?
Yeah, and
now,
yeah,
thinking
I
is
understand that.
Thinking
So
is
now
representative.
the question is, John, what makes it the case that a brain alone is necessarily dead?
Right. And that would be the next question. So you're thinking rationally.
That's been the question all along.
So why the brain is dead? Physically?
Why a brain alone necessarily must be dead, which is to say that it cannot think.
It cannot think, exactly.
Yeah, what establishes that?
Well, it establishes that the relationship physiologically with the rest of the body in terms of the heart, the lungs, the vital organs, the central nervous system, all of these things, which constitute as a system, right? In other words, it's like saying, well, is the engine a car? No, it's not, right?
Yeah. So a body
the ability
can think,
to even
right?
move. Yeah, the engine in and of itself can't even move, right? It needs
so
wheels,
a body,
right?
A body,
it needs a powertrain. It
so
needs
a body,
transmission.
a body can think when it loses its legs, right? It's possible,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Right.
But it can't do it when it loses everything but its brain, right? And that's the question I asked you 25 minutes ago, right? So what's the answer to that question? Yeah, so what's the answer to that question?
So what I am trying to say is that as far as consciousness is concerned, right? Consciousness is the soul interacting with the body. That's how it's understood. But it's not just the brain, right? And so it has to do with the animation, a spiritual animation of the body that represents some sort of a soul, being ensouled, evidence of it being ensouled.
This is just repeating what I'm asking you. I'm asking you to explain, right? So you're saying, look, for there to be animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that can
Spiritual
be found.
animation.
Spiritual animation, right? Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
for there to be spiritual animation, that can be found in a body that's missing its legs, right?
Correct.
But it can't be found in a body that's missing everything but its brain, right? Now I'm asking, what establishes that?
Because of the relationship of the brain to the consciousness.
Go on.
And so if there is no physical connection for the brain to the consciousness, which is the soul, then it is not possible for
I'm asking why there
to be an
cannot be
expression.
such. I'm asking why there cannot
be.
be. I'm asking why there cannot be such a physical connection.
Why there cannot be a physical connection between
Such
just
a
the
physical
brain,
connection.
just
That's
the
right.
brain, and the spirit, right? And I'm
That's
trying
right.
to explain to you that with respect to the expression of the consciousness, right? It actually requires a brain, right?
What requires a brain?
Consciousness, evidence of consciousness.
Requires a brain. Okay. And so why does it require
Right.
more than a brain?
Well, I didn't say it requires more than a brain. It requires at least
so a
a brain.
brain is sufficient. Oh wait, is a brain not sufficient?
Well, I did mention other things such as
So other things are required.
Well, I mentioned certain organs, the heart, the central nervous system, things like that. The things that are not the brain.
Yeah. So I'm trying to understand, why is it the case that a heart is required? Is a heart required?
Why is it the heart required?
Yeah. Why is a heart required?
Because it interacts with the soul of the individual in order to express consciousness. It's
I'm
actually
asking
required.
what. Yeah. Where does it say it's required?
It's required in terms of the function of the body.
Are you appealing to Scripture?
Yeah, actually I am.
Okay, so where's the biblical support for the idea that for there to be a spiritually animated body, there must be a heart in that body?
Now, that's a little bit tricky because when the heart is referred to in Scripture, right, it's not talking about an organ. You know what, though? You know what? I really got to go, Jack. My wife is yeah, and so you guys are free to talk for the next half hour about how I'm running. I don't really care. But anyway, I'll continue the conversation, Jack.
All right.
That was amazing.
Tap out.